Captain Sarah Martinez receives the encrypted message at 03:00 hours, just as she's putting the finishing touches on her maid of honor speech. The red priority alert on her secure phone cuts through the quiet of her base quarters like a blade. She's been awake for the past hour anyway, too excited about her twin sister Isabella's wedding to sleep. The speech she's been crafting for weeks sits open on her laptop, filled with childhood memories and inside jokes that only twins would understand. The mission briefing is brutal. A terrorist cell has taken hostages at a remote medical facility in the mountains, and her specialized rescue unit is the only team qualified for the extraction. Sarah's blood runs cold as she reads the details. The facility houses Doctors Without Borders personnel who were treating refugees from the recent conflict. 12 medical professionals are trapped inside, including several who were in the middle of performing life-saving surgery on injured children when the attack began. The operation launches in 6 hours exactly when Isabella's wedding ceremony begins. Sarah stares at her bridesmaid dress hanging in the closet, the soft lavender fabric catching the harsh fluorescent light of her quarters. Next to it hangs her tactical gear, black and unforgiving. The contrast feels like a physical manifestation of the choice tearing her apart. She's Isabella's best friend, confidant, and the person who introduced her to her fiancé Marcus 3 years ago at a military charity gala. They've planned every detail of this wedding together through countless video calls, text messages, and weekend visits. Her hands shake as she picks up her personal phone. Isabella's contact photo, the two of them laughing at last year's Christmas dinner, seems to mock her. They're identical twins, but Sarah chose the military while Isabella became a pediatric nurse. Different paths, but they've never missed a major moment in each other's lives. Until now. The phone rings twice before Isabella's sleepy voice answers. "Sarah? It's 3 in the morning. Are you having pre-wedding jitters? Because I'm the one who's supposed to be nervous. Izzy, Sarah's voice cracks. She's face down armed insurgents without flinching, but telling her twin sister she's about to break the most important promise of their lives feels impossible. What's wrong? Isabella's voice sharpens with concern. "Sarah, you're scaring me. I got called up. Emergency deployment. There are hostages, medical personnel, and no." The word comes out flat, final. "No, Sarah, you promised. You swore to me that nothing would keep you from being here. You're my maid of honor. You're my twin sister." Sarah closes her eyes, seeing Isabella's face in her mind, the way her nose crinkles when she's trying not to cry, the stubborn set of her jaw that mirrors Sarah's own. "Izzy, there are doctors trapped. Children who might die if we don't. You promised you'd be here." Isabella sobs, and Sarah can hear the devastation in her voice. "You're my twin, Sarah. We came into this world together. How can you choose strangers over me? How can you choose your job over the most important day of my life?" The accusation hits like a physical blow. Sarah has always struggled with the balance between duty and family, but she's never had to choose so starkly between them. It's not about choosing strangers over you. It's about you always putting the military first. Isabella interrupts, her voice rising. "Every holiday you've missed, every birthday, every family gathering. I defended you every time Mom and Dad complained. I told them you were serving something bigger than yourself. But this is my wedding day, Sarah. The day I've dreamed about since we were little girls playing dress-up in Mom's closet." Sarah remembers those days vividly, how they'd take turns being the bride, how Isabella always insisted they'd be each other's maid of honor when they grew up. The memory makes her chest tight with grief. "I have to go," Sarah whispers. "People will die if I don't." The silence stretches between them, filled with years of shared secrets, inside jokes, and unconditional support. When Isabella speaks again, her voice is cold in a way Sarah has never heard before. "Then go. But don't expect me to understand this time. Don't expect me to smile and tell everyone that my sister is off being a hero while I walk down the aisle alone. The line goes dead. Sarah stares at the phone, feeling like she's just severed a limb. She tries calling back, but it goes straight to voicemail. Isabella's voice, bright and cheerful in the recording, feels like salt in an open wound. The next call is to her parents. Her father answers on the first ring, his voice alert despite the early hour. "Sarah, is everything okay?" "Dad, I need to tell you something about today. Please tell me you're not calling to say you can't make it to your sister's wedding." His tone carries a warning that makes Sarah's stomach clench. "There's been an emergency. Hostages. I'm the only—" "God damn it, Sarah." Her father's explosion of anger makes her flinch. In 30 years, she's never heard him use that tone with her. "Your sister has been planning this day for 2 years. She's been talking about having you as her maid of honor since she was 5 years old. And you're going to abandon her for what? Another mission? Another chance to play hero? Dad, please. Your mother spent all day yesterday helping Isabella with last-minute details. Do you know what she kept saying? I can't wait for Sarah to see how beautiful Izzy looks. She's been so proud. Telling everyone about her daughter, the war hero who's going to stand beside her twin sister on the most important day of her life. The guilt is suffocating. Sarah can picture her mother, Elena Martinez, fussing over Isabella's dress, probably crying happy tears as she talks about her daughters. "Put Mom on the phone," Sarah says quietly. "She's not here. She's at Isabella's apartment, helping her get ready. And I'm not going to be the one to break her heart by telling her that her daughter chose the military over family. Again, the accusation stings because there's truth in it. Sarah has missed Christmas dinners, birthday parties, and family reunions. But this feels different. This isn't about career advancement or routine deployment. This is about life and death. Dad, there are children. There are always children, Sarah. There's always someone who needs saving. But today, the person who needs you most is your sister. And you're choosing to abandon her." Our father hangs up, leaving Sarah alone with the weight of her decision. She sits on her narrow military cot, still holding the phone, and thinks about calling Marcus, Isabella's fiancé. Maybe he could help Isabella understand. But she knows it's futile. How do you explain to someone that their wedding day, the day they've dreamed about their entire life, comes second to a mission? As Sarah boards the helicopter 2 hours later, her tactical gear heavy on her shoulders, she watches Isabella's wedding venue shrink below through the small window. The elegant garden where Isabella will say her vows looks peaceful in the pre-dawn light. In a few hours, it will be filled with flowers, music, and celebration. Isabella will walk down the aisle in the dress they picked out together. But she'll be walking alone. Sarah closes her eyes and tries to push away the image of her sister's face. The hurt, the betrayal, the devastating realization that even twins can choose different loyalties when the moment demands it. She knows she may have just destroyed the most important relationship in her life. But 12 innocent people are counting on her to bring them home alive. The helicopter banks toward the mountains, carrying Sarah away from her sister's wedding and toward a choice that will define both their futures. While Isabella walks down the aisle alone, her lavender dress trailing behind her and her bouquet trembling in her hands, Sarah rappels into a nightmare. The medical facility sits perched on a mountainside like a concrete fortress, its white walls now scarred with bullet holes and scorch marks. Smoke rises from the eastern wing where the terrorists detonated a small explosive as a warning. The morning sun casts long shadows across the compound, creating a maze of light and darkness that could hide a dozen threats. Sarah's boots hit the ground with practiced silence. Through her earpiece, she hears the mission commander's voice. "Phoenix team? You have visual confirmation of 12 hostages barricaded in operating room 3. Terrorists have rigged the building with explosives and are demanding the release of their imprisoned leader. Ali al-Nazir, you have a narrow window before the hostages are executed. The facility houses Doctors Without Borders personnel who were treating refugees from the recent conflict. According to intelligence, they were in the middle of performing emergency surgery on local children when the attack began. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the lead surgeon, had been operating on a 6-year-old girl with internal bleeding when armed men stormed the building. Rather than flee, the medical team had barricaded themselves in the operating room to protect their young patients. Sarah signals to her team 4 other specialists trained in hostage rescue. They move like shadows through the compound's outer perimeter, their movements synchronized from years of working together. Sergeant Mike Torres covers the eastern approach, while Corporal Lisa Chun secures the western flank. Lieutenant James Rodriguez handles communications, while Private Danny Kim manages their explosive ordnance disposal equipment. The building's layout is burned into Sarah's memory from the briefing. 3 floors, multiple stairwells, and a central elevator shaft that the terrorists are likely using as a command post. The operating room where the hostages are trapped sits on the 2nd floor, surrounded by a labyrinth of corridors that could become a killing field if they're not careful. As they breach the ground floor, Sarah's mind flashes to Isabella. Right now, her sister should be exchanging vows with Marcus, promising to love and cherish each other through whatever life brings. Instead, Isabella is probably struggling to smile through her heartbreak, trying to salvage what should be the happiest day of her life. The first terrorist appears around the corner, his AK-47 raised. Sarah's training takes over 2 shots to center mass, clean and efficient. The man drops without firing a shot, but his radio crackles with urgent Arabic. Their element of surprise is blown. Phoenix leader, we're compromised, Sarah whispers into her mic. Moving to secondary approach, the mission becomes a deadly game of cat and mouse through hospital corridors. The terrorists have positioned themselves strategically, using the building's medical equipment as cover. Sarah's team encounters resistance at every turn. A sniper in the pharmacy, 2 gunmen barricaded behind an overturned gurney. Another terrorist using patients' rooms as firing positions. The sound of gunfire echoes through the sterile hallways, mixing with the distant cries of the hostages. Through the walls, Sarah can hear Dr. Vasquez's voice, calm and professional despite the chaos, continuing to give medical instructions to her team. The woman is still trying to save lives, even with guns pointed at her head. Sarah's team reaches the 2nd floor stairwell when the building shakes with a controlled explosion. Dust and debris rain down as the terrorists demonstrate their willingness to bring the entire structure down rather than surrender. Through her earpiece, Sarah hears the mission commander's urgent update. Phoenix team, satellite imagery shows additional terrorist reinforcements approaching from the north. You have 20 minutes before this becomes a siege situation. 20 minutes to save 12 lives and neutralize an unknown number of hostiles in a building rigged to explode. Sarah makes a split-second decision that goes against protocol. Instead of waiting for backup, she signals Torres to create a diversion on the eastern side while she approaches the operating room from the west. It's a desperate gambit that puts her directly in the line of fire, but it's the only way to draw the terrorists away from the hostages. The plan works too well. 3 terrorists converge on Sarah's position, their automatic weapons chattering in the narrow corridor. She dives behind a medical cart as bullets shred the wall where her head had been moments before. The cart's metal frame provides minimal protection, but it's enough for her to return fire. The firefight is brutal and close quarters. Sarah takes a bullet to the shoulder, the impact spinning her around and sending her crashing into a wall. Pain explodes through her body, but adrenaline keeps her moving. She manages to neutralize 2 of the terrorists, but the third has her pinned down. That's when she hears a child's cry from the operating room. Not a cry of fear, but of pain. One of the young patients is in distress, and Dr. Vasquez is calling for equipment that isn't available. The medical team is trying to save a life while terrorists hold guns to their heads. The sound galvanizes Sarah. She ignores the fire in her shoulder and flanks the remaining terrorist, using her knowledge of the building's layout to approach from an unexpected angle. The man never sees her coming. With the immediate threat neutralized, Sarah's team secures the corridor leading to the operating room. But their celebration is short-lived. Through the door, they can hear the lead terrorist's voice, speaking in accented English. "You have 5 minutes to release Halil Mazir, or I start executing hostages." Beginning with the children. Sarah's blood runs cold. She peers through the reinforced glass window and sees the scene inside. Dr. Vasquez stands over an operating table where a young girl, maybe 7 years old, lies unconscious. The surgeon's hands are steady despite the gun pointed at her head. Around the room, other medical personnel tend to 3 more children while terrorists watch their every move. The lead terrorist, a man with cold eyes and a scarred face, holds a detonator in his left hand. Sarah realizes with growing horror that he's rigged the operating room itself. If he triggers that device, everyone inside dies instantly. Phoenix leader, Rodriguez's voice crackles through her earpiece. Reinforcements are 2 minutes out. We need to hold position. But Sarah knows they don't have 2 minutes. The terrorist's finger is already moving toward the detonator button. In the final moments, she makes a decision that will haunt her forever. She stays behind to disarm the bomb while her team evacuates the civilians through a secondary route she's identified. The next 60 seconds stretch into eternity. Sarah works frantically to disarm the explosive device while the terrorist realizes what's happening. He turns toward her, raising his weapon, but Sarah is faster. Her shot takes him down, but his finger spasms on the detonator as he falls. The explosion throws Sarah against the wall with tremendous force. Her vision blurs as debris rains down around her. Through the ringing in her ears, she can hear voices, her team calling her name. The hostages crying out in relief. The sound of helicopters approaching Dodd as consciousness fades. Sarah's last coherent thought is of Isabella's face on their wedding day, not the hurt and betrayal from their phone call, but the joy and love that should have filled this moment. She wonders if her sister will ever forgive her. If the lives she saved today will be worth the relationship she's destroyed. Meanwhile, 300 miles away, Isabella stands at the reception hall, still in her wedding dress, staring at her phone. No messages, no calls, no word from Sarah. The celebration continues around her. But all she can think about is the empty chair where her twin sister should be sitting, and the growing fear that something terrible has happened to the other half of her soul. Isabella sits alone in the bridal suite of the reception hall, still in her wedding dress 3 hours after the ceremony ended. The ivory silk that had felt magical this morning now feels heavy and suffocating. She stares at the empty maid of honor bouquet lying on the vanity lavender, roses and baby's breath that Sarah had helped her choose during a video call 6 months ago. The flowers are wilting now, their petals scattered across the marble surface like fallen tears. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, she can see the reception continuing on the terrace below. Marcus moved through the crowd with practiced grace, accepting congratulations and making excuses for his new wife's absence. She's just taking a moment, she hears him tell concerned relatives. It's been an emotional day. He doesn't mention that the emotion is heartbreak, or that his bride has been checking her phone obsessively for any word from her twin sister. Isabella's mother, Elena, had tried to comfort her earlier. Mia, Sarah is doing important work. She's saving lives. But even Elena's voice had cracked when she said it. and Isabella could see the disappointment in her mother's eyes. This was supposed to be their family's perfect day, and Sarah's absence has cast a shadow over everything. The celebration downstairs feels hollow without Sarah. Every toast mentions the missing maid of honor. Every speech includes an awkward pause where Sarah's words should have been. Isabella's college friends try to fill the void, but they don't understand the twin bond, the way she and Sarah could communicate with just a look, the way they'd finished each other's sentences since they learned to talk. Isabella picks up her phone for the 100th time, scrolling through their text thread. The last message is from yesterday. Can't wait to see you walk down that aisle. Izzy, you're going to be the most beautiful bride in the world. Love you to the moon and back. The words that had made her smile then now feel like a cruel joke. She's about to call Sarah again when the rumble of engines fills the air. At first, she thinks it's just traffic from the highway, but the sound grows louder, more purposeful. Through the window, Isabella sees a convoy of military vehicles approaching the reception hall. 3 black SUVs with government plates, followed by 2 transport trucks and what looks like a medical vehicle. Her heart stops. Has something happened to Sarah? The convoy moves with the precision of a military operation, and Isabella's nursing training kicks in as she recognizes the urgency in their formation. She stumbles to her feet, her wedding dress tangling around her legs as she rushes to get a better view. The vehicles stop in perfect formation on the circular drive. The reception guests have noticed now. Conversations dying as everyone turns to stare. Marcus appears at Isabella's side, his face pale with concern. What's happening? He whispers, but Isabella can't speak. She's watching the lead SUV, waiting for someone to emerge and deliver news that will shatter what's left of her world. But then the passenger door opens, and Sarah steps out. Isabella's breath catches in her throat. Her twin sister is alive, but she's clearly been through hell. Sarah wears her dress blues, the uniform crisp and formal, but her left arm is in a sling and she's supported by military-issued crutches. Her face is pale beneath her service cap, and Isabella can see the exhaustion in her eyes even from this distance. Behind Sarah, more people emerge from the vehicles. A woman in civilian clothes with graying hair and kind eyes. A man in scrubs who looks like he hasn't slept in days. Children, actual children, climbing out of the transport trucks with adults who must be their parents. Isabella counts 12 people total, all looking up at the reception hall with expressions of nervous anticipation. Sarah looks up at the window where Isabella stands, and their eyes meet across the distance. Even injured and exhausted, Sarah's face breaks into the smile that Isabella knows better than her own reflection. It's the smile that says, I'm sorry, and I love you, and please forgive me, all at once. Isabella doesn't remember running down the stairs. She doesn't remember pushing through the crowd of wedding guests or bursting through the front doors of the reception hall. All she knows is that suddenly she's standing face to face with her twin sister for the first time in 6 months. And Sarah is real and alive and here. Izzy, Sarah says softly, and her voice is hoarse with emotion and exhaustion. Before Isabella can respond, the woman with graying hair steps forward. She's small and dignified, with surgeon's hands and eyes that have seen too much suffering. You must be Isabella, she says with a slight accent. I am Dr. Elena Vasquez. Your sister saved my life. The words hit Isabella like a physical blow. She looks from Dr. Vasquez to Sarah, trying to process what she's hearing. Your sister saved all our lives, Dr. Vasquez continues, gesturing to the group behind her. We were trapped, held hostage while we were operating on children. Sarah and her team risked everything to get us out. Her voice breaks slightly. She told us about missing your wedding, so we flew here to tell you she's a hero. A young girl, maybe 8 years old, steps forward shyly. She has large dark eyes and a bandage on her forehead. Are you the sister? She asks in careful English. The one who was supposed to be at the wedding? Isabella nods, not trusting her voice. Your sister saved me, the girl says simply. I was having surgery when the bad men came. Dr. Elena was fixing my insides, and your sister made sure the bad men couldn't hurt us. She got hurt protecting us. Isabella looks at Sarah's sling, at the exhaustion etched in her twin's face, and suddenly understands. This wasn't about choosing duty over family. This was about Sarah being exactly who she's always been, someone who runs toward danger when others need help. Someone who puts herself at risk to protect the innocent. Dr. Vasquez reaches into her bag and pulls out something unexpected, a small bouquet of white flowers. We brought these from the hospital garden, she explains. The children wanted to give them to the bride whose sister saved their lives. The rescued medical team has brought something even more extraordinary. Dr. Vasquez explains that they've arranged for Isabella and Marcus to renew their vows right here, right now, with Sarah finally able to stand as maid of honor. We spoke to your priest, she says. He's on his way. We hoped you might want to do this properly, with your sister beside you. Isabella looks around at the faces surrounding her, the medical team Sarah saved, the children who are alive because of her sister's courage, the wedding guests who have gathered to witness this unexpected reunion. Marcus takes her hand, his eyes bright with unshed tears. What do you think, Mrs. Rodriguez? He asks softly. Want to marry me again? Isabella turns to Sarah, seeing her twin clearly for the first time. Not the sister who abandoned her, but the woman who chose to save lives even when it cost her everything. I'm sorry I was late, Sarah whispers. And Isabella can see the fear in her eyes, the terror that she's lost her twin forever. You were exactly where you needed to be, Isabella replies. And she means it with every fiber of her being. As the twins embrace, Isabella feels the missing piece of her soul click back into place. The impromptu ceremony that follows becomes more beautiful than the original, filled with the profound understanding that some bonds transcend time and distance, and that love means supporting each other's calling to serve something greater than themselves. When Sarah finally gives her maid of honor speech, her words are simple but perfect. My sister taught me that love isn't about being present for the easy moments. It's about understanding that sometimes the people we love most have to choose the hard path. Today, I learned that Isabella's love is big enough to forgive, strong enough to understand, and deep enough to celebrate the choices that make us who we are. The reception continues long into the night, filled with stories of courage, sacrifice, and the unbreakable bond between twins who chose love over resentment, understanding over anger, and forgiveness over pride.